Antibiotics are the most powerful class of drug ever invented.
If we were to compare a broad-spectrum antibiotic to a nuclear weapon, that would be not far off from what happens when you take such an agent.
I went to bed and I woke up violently ill.
At first, 3 antibiotics worked, but after 2 weeks, none did. There was nothing left in our arsenal.
Anybody at any time can come down with one of these organisms.
Grant Hill, one for the Facebook, stuffing it home.
Out of the blue, my body started shaking. I thought at that point, I'm about to die.
Antimicrobial resistance and antibiotic resistance are a massive global challenge.
It takes about 15 years to get a new drug from its initial discovery through the FDA, but it only takes 2 years on average for all newly introduced antibiotics to have significant clinical resistance.
We've had so many new antibiotics, and each one's been met with the same fate, which is resistance, because each one has been overused, misused, abused.
India leads the world in consumption of antibiotics in humans. China leads the world in terms of consumption of antibiotics in animals.
These rapidly developing countries are adopting our methods of animal production.
China is by far the biggest consumer of antibiotics in the world.
This is a crisis that we almost don't even begin to understand the proportions of. The business model for antibiotics is broken.
The public play an enormous role in this problem. They really need to understand what's at stake.
There's many different solutions that are out there, but without research, we're not going to be able to move ahead.
President Obama stood up in the State of the Union, which included a discussion of antibiotic resistance. Those of us who've worked in the field for a long time almost fell out of our chairs.
We can solve this problem. There's no question about it. We're actually smart enough to do this.
Right now, we have political mobilization. We have action. This is the moment for us to move this issue forward.
We at Recombinant Films are thrilled that our feature-length documentary, Beating Superbugs Can We Win?, is a Cannes World Film Festival Remember the Future winner. When we first started researching antibiotic resistance a few years ago, we had 2 goals: remind the public of increasingly lethal antibiotic resistance among rogue bacteria or superbugs, and reassure them that a bundle of solutions was underway. Science was our first obvious focus, especially the top 5 most dangerous superbugs. These bacteria drew us to the often frightening dramas of specific patients, doctors, and researchers. But along the way, we realized that for new discoveries to become treatments that actually save people, economics, politics, and big pharma would have to work together, another key facet of our story. Then, when editing was nearly done, the COVID-19 pandemic struck. In its wake, we learned that superbugs caused at least a third or more of COVID fatalities, a timely fact we had to include. Throughout, we kept our focus on the leading strategies to fight these threats. As a result, the bundle of solutions we envisioned at first has now grown and needs global cooperation across disciplines to advance. But this progress depends on support from informed citizens energized by films like this one. We want to thank the patients, doctors, and scientists around the world who shared their life and death stories about antibiotic resistance. We are also indebted to the international experts in economics, government, and the pharmaceutical industry whom we interviewed. Beyond myself as director and editor, our film would never have been possible without my partners, writer Gene Mudge and Chief Science Advisor Bob Milley at Recombinant Films. We also want to thank our many generous Kickstarter supporters, other donors, and United Healthcare and the Cepheid Corporation for their grants to this project. In addition, advice and help from executive producers Ann Mudge and James Middleberger were crucial to finishing the film. My partner Ron Thompson was also indispensable in giving me the time, space, and feedback to work on this project. Finally, we'd like to thank Carolina Bamba, who founded the Cannes World Film Festival.